Welcome to NBA Wednesday, presented by State Farm. First game of our Wednesday night doubleheader in beautiful South Florida, the American Airlines Arena, home of the Miami Heat. Trying to get untracked after a slow start to the season. And for the first time this season, they'll host the Indiana Pacers, first of three matchups between the two teams. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for tonight's game. First for Indiana, they're 13-12 overall, and because of injuries, Glenn Robinson III is starting at the two guard. He's had some good starts. Jeff Teague, Paul George, Thaddeus Young, and the terrific second-year player Miles Turner. Meanwhile, for Eric Spoelstra, injuries have also had a major impact on their starting five. Rodney McGruder, a rookie and a good defensive player. Goran Dragic, Wayne Ellington, one of the new additions, Josh McRoberts, and Hassan Whiteside for Eric Spoelstra. Well, the Heat have struggled big time here at home. Just 3-8 in a building, of course, that they were dominant back in the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade era. But it is a new era as they face the Indiana Pacers. Injuries a big part, but they have a lot of key players coming back. Still hard to take sometimes. The team trying to find themselves, Mark. They could use a couple of wins on this homestand they have.
Well, these are veteran coaches and a veteran organization, understanding that the way to get healed quick is to take care of home. You got to be an effective team at home. They've struggled. The good news is this is a team that plays extremely hard. They compete at a high level.
They're a very good defensive team. Have their ups and downs on the offensive end. Meanwhile, for Paul George in Indiana, very, very good offensive team that has been very up and down on the defensive end.
Well, it starts with Paul George, and he's looking like the old Paul George. It's great to have back, and young talent in Miles Turner. Bright future is in Indiana.
Pacers, as we mentioned, they're now a game over 500. They've won 2 in a row. Yet to have a 3-game winning streak this season. They have struggled on the road, just 3-8 away from Indianapolis. And a late arriving crowd here, an earlier start in Miami. And here's Dragic coming off his best scoring game of the season. He had 34 on Monday in a victory against the Wizards that started a 6-game homestand for the Heat. Wayne Ellington's the first shot of the night. Misfires.
It's going to be a challenge for the Indiana Pacers on the defensive end. Dragic is playing like his Phoenix days. A handful to keep in front. Going to have to be committed individually and collectively.
There's Teague. Nice feed inside. Thaddeus Young shot misses. Whiteside had it. Knocked away, but a reach-in foul called on Young, who disagrees with the call. But the Heat will get the ball. Young looking for an explanation from Danny Crawford. Well, Dragic just has to pick up more of the offensive scoring load. He's comfortable in that as he misses that shot. George the rebound. George pass ahead, stolen by Dragic. 2 quick turnovers. Whiteside. Quick spin move from Whiteside. We've seen him starting to develop a little low post game mark.
And he's getting more and more comfortable with his back to the basket. Known as a finisher at the rim and obviously a big-time rebounder and defender. But I like the idea of getting him the basketball early, establishing.
George pumped by McGruder. Boy, McGruder's faced some of the best players in the NBA. McGruder, rookie from Kansas State. Eric Spoelstra, love his competitiveness. He was the last player who made the team at a training camp, but because of all the injuries, he has started. And they like what they see from him. Obviously, he's inexperienced, but he is tough.
Well, Eric Spoelstra, his staff, and this organization, they don't get enough credit for developing a lot of young talent. They do a great job of spending time with these players. And here's a guy that's thrown into the fire and looks ready because of the development and the time they spent with him.
He's been a terrific D-League player. This is rookie season in the NBA. Whiteside double team. Shot clock down to 7. Dragic gets in the paint, flips it up, shot short. A slow start for Miami, just 1 of 4 from the field. Teague finds Turner. Turner's shot misses, keeps it alive, but right to McRoberts. Dragic looking inside, bad pass stolen by Young, who saw that coming. And they're going to call a foul. Robinson slipped, but apparently Magruder bumped him, and that's going to be his second foul. Will it be a clear path foul? And that's what they're going to check.
It looked like the right call. Was tripped wide open for an uncontested layup.
Yeah, that's going to be a clear path. So it's going to be 2 shots and possession. Pretty big call. And again, Magruder, who's one of their better defensive players, albeit a rookie, got 2 very quick fouls. So the officials will go over there. Hey, how about all the talk this past couple of weeks? The D-League is going to experiment with 4 and maybe at times 5 officials.
Are you asking my opinion?
Yes, I am.
I would stay with 3. Because I don't care how many guys you put out there, 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to miss calls. I like the idea of it not being too crowded with the best athletes in the world.
I would agree. Plus, the last thing fans want to see is more whistles and more stoppage, which would probably happen. So they are going to call it a clear path, as Robinson clearly had his Magruder inadvertently clipped him down by the heel. Magruder's going to stay in the game with the 2 fouls, as Robinson will shoot.
Hey, Mike, I watch all different sports, and I think obviously there's times where our referees get a raw deal. I watch umpires, I watch referees, I watch football, boxing, baseball. We have the best in the business. We have the best in the business.
I agree 100%. There are a lot of young referees right now who are still kind of acclimating themselves to the NBA. So not that like it's a rebuilding process, but the league lost some of their star referees over the past 5 years, and it's a matter of building it up again.
Some Hall of Fame referees.
Absolutely. T gets inside. Nice little hesitation move. Comes up way short. Teague in his first year in Indiana. And then kick it out Ellington. McRoberts, good feed inside to Dragic, but he has no room to shoot. Tight. And a 3-second violation called against Miami. This has been a sloppy first couple of minutes.
You think? Dragic looking to make a play for Whiteside instead of being aggressive. He's most effective when he's aggressive on the offensive end. He's got to think score.
So we have more turnovers than field goals to start. Here's George. George misses as well. They're 0 for 5 to begin Indiana. Teague tracing Dragic. Nice feed. Dragic to Whiteside.
Good job of taking the pick and roll action with him and then making the play for Whiteside. But came off that screen aggressive and allowed the play to develop.
Whiteside can be so dominant. That's what Eric Spoelstra keeps taking him. I want you to be dominant at the rim on both ends. George misses. Ball tip taken by Ellington. Dragic tiptoes along the baseline. Kicks it out. Magruder's 3 misses. Rebound deflected. Kept alive by Whiteside. And a new 24 for Miami. Ellington. That won't go. And it's going to be Heat ball. Well, Whiteside's 2 for 2. Everybody else is 0 for 13.
How do you shoot 2 for 2? You got guys making plays for you. That time Dragic turns the corner, throws the lob to the rim, and Whiteside does the rest.
Ellington gets inside, stripped by Turner. Good hands, picked up by George. Throws it ahead. Robinson with a gorgeous feed to Young. Heads up play from Glenn Robinson.
Glenn Robinson looked like a wide receiver there. Heck of a play. Meeting the basketball and then making a fine pass.
It has been a work in progress for this Indiana team. Several new key players, other young players, as Whiteside can't hold on to it. When you bring in Jeff Teague to run the show, you have guys like Al Jefferson. Then you have young players like Turner and Robinson all of a sudden playing major minutes. McMillan trying to remain patient.
You look at the Pacer team and a lot of guys that's most effective with the basketball in their hands, and Nick McMillan trying to teach them ball movement, man movement, and then allow the offense to develop. But it's a work in progress.
McRoberts finds Whiteside. Quick move, but dribble it off his foot. That's 5 turnovers in 4.5 minutes for Miami.
And Mike, what I mean by that is you have Jeff Teague, ball dominant guy. You have Monte Ellis, who's not playing tonight, ball dominant guy. Paul George, Miles. So they have guys that are most effective with the ball in their hands. When they become a complete team is when they begin to move effectively, and then it'll allow the playmaking ability to have space.
It's all about sacrifice. Dragic gets some moves from the crowd, can't get it to fall. Ball tipped out, and again a new 24. Dragic aims, fires, can't hit. Rebound, Teague poked it away from McRoberts, then finds Robinson for the flush. Good setup from Jeff Teague. And Indiana with a 2-point lead.
This is a team that's trying to find more moments on the floor, playing time for Robinson. He's been effective, competes at a high level, and this just in, his dad was a heck of a player.
Sure was. Finally, a jumper goes down. Wayne Ellington nails the 3-pointer. George oohs and ahs from the crowd, nails the jumper. George's first field goal.
We're sure we're going to see that highlight. Gruger took a dive. That looks like the old Paul George. Very, very effective and comfortable putting the ball on the deck and making plays.
George really one of the special two-way players in the league. Can be just a flat-out stopper defensively. Dragic, nice slip pass. McRoberts hesitated, but then nails it. Fortunately, guys getting a little comfortable now, knocking down shots after the rough start. As we're past the midway point here in the first. Teague and the foul. Tough matchup from McRoberts. And Teague with a beautiful play, chance for a 3-point opportunity.
This is where Jeff Teague is most effective. Did it in Atlanta, putting the ball on the floor and making plays, realizing he's defended by a big. Get to your spot.
Paul George and the Pacers with the early lead. George is one of the best players in the NBA, but in the summer of 2014 broke his leg. It was not an easy rehab coming back, but George says he had some very special motivation.
My inspiration really came from my mother. Her dealing with stroke, her dealing with, really being down and out through her stroke and blood clots. I saw her fight back, and that was enough for me. In my darkest days, I knew it was nothing to what my mom went through, and she came out perfectly fine. So that's where all my inspiration and all my fight came from.
His mom, Paulette, a special place in his heart, obviously.
Might give props to his mom, because you never know who's watching you and who could be affected by what you're doing and how you're handling things today. She had a direct impact on her son and how he was able to fight back and get back to who he is.
Off the steal, Thaddeus Young, another sloppy pass. Young finishes down the other end as Miami really struggling with the turnovers. That's number 6. And they're not a super high turnover team. They're 10th in the NBA. Ellington off the dribble. Whiteside tips it in. Nate McMillan thought Whiteside pushed Turner. As Teague comes the other way. 2-point lead now for the Pacers. Teague the floater.
And good offense. The scoring ability of Turner creates that opening because Whiteside just can't leave his body.
Whiteside, couple of tips in there, can't get it. Turner the rebound. The Pacers, after missing 8 of their first 9 shots, have hit 5 in a row. George. Dragic up top, McRoberts. Richardson came in off the bench, took an extra step and a travel. Richardson in his second year, again one of the many Miami Heat players who have dealt with injuries. He's been back a few games, but he missed 10 games total, 6 with a left ankle injury.
Now I'm looking at this Pacer team that has struggled at times defensively. Nate McMillan has got to be satisfied with the way they're playing tonight. Now this is the Miami Heat team that's not known to be an offensive juggernaut. But the bottom line is you play who's in front of you, and they're playing impressive defense tonight.
Rodney Stuckey has come on. Tyler Johnson as well. And Johnson quickly with his first shot of the night nails a three-pointer. Back to one. James Johnson also in the game for the Heat. Turner's going to try again. He's got some three-point ability. He's been hot last several games, but misfires there. Dragic inside. Tried to draw the foul. Whiteside on the follow.
Well, he's dominated the offensive boards early in this game, but that's set up by Dragic. They can score. So he scores, collapses the defense, and puts Whiteside in position to get the putback.
That shot won't count. George hit it, but Nate McMillan called the timeout beforehand. So we'll take a break. Hassan Whiteside already 5 offensive rebounds. Heat by 1. Hassan Whiteside off to a dominant start on the boards, Mark.
Well, he started early getting him the basketball, and all of a sudden had a dominant mindset. Scoring on the block, attacking the offensive boards time and time again. Then off the play of Dragic, look what I found. Aggressive, wanting the and one. Eric Spoelstra's got to be pleased with the play of his big man.
So he's got 5 rebounds, 3 of them on the offensive glass. He averages over 4 offensive boards a game. And as mentioned, he's #1 in the NBA in rebounds. Al Jefferson now in the game for Indiana. Tyler Johnson harassing George. Shot clock at 5. Single coverage. And defensive 3 seconds. So a 1-shot technical. Richardson was in there. Paul George, who is 2nd in the NBA in free throw shooting, in addition to all the other things he does so well. He's taken 78 free throws this year. He's missed only 6 of them. That's good for 92%.
If I'm Nate McMillan, I go right back to that. If you're going to play Paul George straight up one-on-one against these smaller guards, he can get to his spot.
Nate McMillan in his first year as head coach with the Pacers took over after Frank Vogel was let go. He was Vogel's associate head coach for the previous 3 years. George's jumper can't get it. Gets his own offensive rebound. Back up. That won't go. George ball for a foul. He's upset with Danny Crawford. He thought he was fouled at the other end, and then bumps Richardson to pick up his first. George likes the way the team is starting to come together again. They had a bunch of injuries early, and Mark, like a lot of teams in the East outside of Cleveland and Toronto, there's not a lot of margin for error. So any of these teams loses a key guy or two, and it's hard for them to stay afloat at times. Ball deflected out.
Well, like we always talk about, it's about staying healthy. Who is going to remain healthy throughout the course of the year, and who's going to be able to sustain consistent play. This team is more than capable of doing just that and being a tough out if they're playing defensively and moving the basketball when it matters most.
There's Johnson. Lost the handle. Another turnover. George nearly turns it right back and somehow gets back into his hands. Right. 8 first quarter turnovers for Miami.
I even like getting Al Jefferson because he's a guy that gives you a different look off that bench. His ability to post up and score.
Yet another turnover. Teague to George. 3-pointer. In and out. And Whiteside, his 7th rebound.
I like the play by Teague. Had a wide open shot. Tried to get Paul George going offensively.
Tyler Johnson. Hassan Whiteside. Offensive foul. As Al Jefferson steps in and draws the charge.
But the question was Al Jefferson still moving? Whiteside certainly felt that way. I think it's the right call.
Outside the restricted area, got in there, and Whiteside barrels into him. So it's first foul on Whiteside, and that is the 10th turnover for Miami, and we still have 2 minutes to play in the first.
Give credit to Al Jefferson because that's not who he is. He's not a guy that's going to be highlighted on the defensive end and make plays. This is who he is, a scorer on that low block.
Aaron Brooks has come on for Indiana. Jefferson against Whiteside. Back out C.J. Miles. Miles connects on a 2-pointer, foot on the line, and Indiana back up by 2.
C.J. Miles is a very good basketball player. Their best 3-point shooter when it matters most. Defends at a high level, and you can trust him night in and night out.
Miles, another guy who missed some time with injuries. Johnson throws it up. Whiteside catches, comes back up and in. Whiteside's got 10 points and 7 rebounds. 10 of the 18 for Miami.
You say 10 and 7 is a pretty good quarter?
I would. Stuckey.
I like what Miami did too. Whiteside was a free agent. When you find gems and guys to build on, make sure you're able to keep them. Give this organization a lot of credit for keeping a guy like Whiteside and having something to build on. You lose Wade, you lose James, you lose some great players. Here's a piece for the future.
Signed a $98 million deal. Al Jefferson, nice move, was fouled. Al Jefferson's been doing that to a lot of guys for a long time as Whiteside went for the fake, and he picks up his second personal. So he's going to sit down. Meanwhile, good news for Miami Heat fans is Justice Winslow, who has missed 16 games with a left wrist injury, is going to check in. And he has been sorely missed, especially on the defensive end. Jefferson misses. NBA national TV schedule. TNT Thursday. Bulls and Bucks. Knicks and the Warriors from Oakland. ESPN Friday. Lakers and Sixers from Philadelphia. Dallas plays at Utah. And Golden State hosting Portland on NBA TV. And Christmas Day, a slew of games, including on ABC. Golden State and Cleveland, a rematch of the finals. And Chicago at San Antonio. Tied at 18. Make that 19 now. Indiana up by 1. Final minute in the first. Richardson. Johnson. Stuckey draws the foul. Shot won't go. Rodney Stuckey will get to the line.
On a smart play by Stuckey. You put him in position now to go 2 for 1 by attacking in transition.
Rodney Stuckey now in his 10th year in the league. This is his 3rd year with Indiana. First 7 years with the Pistons. And of course, tonight, an NBA Wednesday. We've got an NBA Friday doubleheader. Lakers and the Sixers. Both teams getting some early season wins. That game's at 8 Eastern. Then Mavericks and the Jazz. Coverage tips off with NBA Countdown at 7. Stuckey hits the second. Free throw shooting. 8 free throws for Indiana. 0 for Miami. Turnovers. 10 turnovers for Miami. 1 for Indiana.
Did you just say both teams getting some early season wins? They're about 20 games under 500 combined.
Yeah, but compared to last year, it's been a plethora of wins.
We don't talk last year, Mike. You're based on what you're doing now.
No, but it's nice to see both of them have made some strides from disastrous to trying to get to respectability. It's the holiday season. You need to be more optimistic and positive.
Well, I love the way you remix it, man. That's pretty nice.
Plus, you look at to watch Philadelphia and watch Embiid play now. Man, he is so much fun to watch.
Now, both teams have some very impressive pieces moving forward.
Shot clock turned off. Heat do not have a foul to give. Stuckey stripped out of bounds off his leg. Good defense there from Miami. And the Heat will have 3.3 to get off a shot. There's Johnson. Fires and hits. A 2-pointer at the buzzer. They'll check it on the replay. Johnson seemed to get rid of it in time for his first field goal. And the first quarter comes to an end. Clearly got it off in time. And after 1 here in Miami, the Pacers 21 and the Heat 20.
Back in Miami, where the Pacers lead the Heat by 1 after the first here with Nate McMillan. You talk about building that defensive mindset. You had to be pleased with the defense in that first quarter.
Well, we forced misses, but we didn't rebound the ball. We got to do a better job of rebounding the ball. Whiteside is in the paint just camping, so we got to get our bigs down in front of him, and we got to smash him.
Whiteside, he's a unique player. I mean, that's where he excels. Is it multiple players in terms of doing that?
Well, he's one of those old school centers. He's a big guy, so we got to get 2 guys on him to box him out, keep him off the boards.
Thank you, Nate.
And Mike, that's the right answer, because against a great rebounding big man, it's not just the opposing big man's responsibility. If you talk about it in game plan, it's everybody's responsibility to keep him off the board.
He has become, again, a great offensive rebound. He's on the bench now with 2 fouls. Willie Reed, second-year man out of St. Louis, comes in and gets a nice feed. As Robinson gets knocked down, fouls on Winslow. Again, Heat fans thrilled to see Winslow. Winslow, part of their rebuilding process, had such a fine rookie season. NBA All-Rookie, second team last year. Again, another young player, just 20 years old.
I'm sure a guy like Winslow has an appreciation for the great Dwayne Wade. It's much easier on the floor when you're playing against a great player.
Al Jefferson on the follow. You know, Mark, it's what they miss with Wade, not just being on the court, but what they miss him in the practice facility, in the locker room, in the community. I mean, he's one of the most beloved athletes in the history of South Florida. And you don't sometimes realize all the different things he means until he's gone.
You can take it for granted, and you can think it's going to last forever. And I don't care who you are, it never lasts forever. But I'm sure it's a great experience for young guys like Winslow to have played alongside of Dwayne Wade.
Jefferson comes up short. Pat Riley has said that he made a mistake in handling that. It's Wade now, after signing the 2 years in Chicago. Reach and foul called on Stuckey. I mean, he was the face of the franchise. Even, you know, obviously he had LeBron James be the main man and sacrificed quite a bit, but he was always the face of the franchise, even when LeBron James was here.
As we got a good look at the great Pat Riley, my former coach with the New York Knicks, an incredible basketball coach and truly one of the best minds in the history of sports.
And you think, too, it's if Chris Bosh doesn't have the blood clots, remains healthy, then the Heat with Bosh and Wade would most likely have stayed. They're right there in terms of premier teams in the Eastern Conference. As Tyler Johnson hits the first free throw. Well, in celebration of NBA Cares, Season of Giving, the NBA, its team and players out in the community helping to brighten the holidays for children, families, and those in need. Join the NBA and share how you give back by using hashtag NBA Cares. To learn more, visit cares.nba.com. 10 lead changes already, and we're 2 minutes into the second. C.J. Miles, jumper won't go. Winslow grabs it.
James Johnson immediately points to himself and says, "My bad." That's a shot you can't give C.J. Miles coming off a motion action, wide open jump shot.
Nice feed inside. Johnson with a finish. Tyler Johnson to James Johnson. And the Heat up by 3. Aaron Brooks playing for his 6th team in his NBA career, his first year here in Indiana. Miles blocked by Tyler Johnson. Impressive defensive play. Tyler Johnson bumped by Brooks.
We talked about this Heat organization and what they did for McGruder. Well, you think about the demand that they needed Tyler Johnson. They also needed Richardson. They needed young guards last year to step in and have an impact. Those guys were ready, and now they've been rewarded and continue to play well.
Johnson, a lot of teams were interested in Tyler Johnson, that is. Brooklyn offered him that 4-year, $50 million offer sheet. The Heat matched it. We were talking earlier, they made sure they retained Whiteside, made sure they retained Johnson. There's going to be some growing pains, though, as James Johnson misses. Here comes Stuckey. Nice feed inside. Oh, Robinson misses the jam. And the Heat come the other way. James Johnson, three-pointer from the corner. Six-point Miami lead.
Bad job by the Pacers closing out defensively as Miles knocks down the jump shot, but you got to communicate in transition and get to bodies.
First three-pointer of the game for Indiana. They have been on a streak. In their last game, they had 17 3-pointers. They've had 46 threes in the last 3 games. And one of the better 3-point shooting teams percentage-wise. As James Johnson gets fouled, Miles hit him, and we'll take a timeout. 3.5 gone by, second quarter. Miami by 3. Back in Miami, where the Heat lead the Pacers 29-26. Miami's center, 27-year-old Hassan Whiteside, was a second-round pick back in 2010 with Sacramento after a year of college at Marshall. And like all the rookies, got paid the rookie scale. Only played 1 game that rookie year as he tore his right knee. Second year against Sacramento, only played 18 games, got the rookie scale. And then had his odyssey in China, Lebanon, the D-League before Miami signed him to that free agent deal. Last 2 years, again, receiving the minimum. But after being all NBA defense second team and leading the NBA in shot blocking, signing a $98 million deal. Talk about a pay raise. Wow.
It's a heck of a jump financially. But the luxury that they had was they watched him for 2 years. So I'm watching him every day practice. I'm watching his habits. I'm watching, does he really care? So when you're able to bet on him, you're betting on a guy that you feel secure what he's going to be and how much he's going to improve and how much time he puts into it.
Well, Eric Spoelstra says we have to keep reminding himself to look at that big picture. Look where he was 2 years ago and where he is now. Do they want him to be more consistent? There's some nights where he's just not dominating, and Spoelstra feels that he's got the ability to dominate every single night.
In what he does, that's absolutely true. Rebounding the basketball, finishing at the rim, defending at a high level, blocking shots. Those are things that you expect him to do every single night.
Winslow bringing up 1-point game early second quarter. Winslow again has not played the last 16 games. James Johnson, and he's been a real nice find. One of the new players. He signed a 1-year, $4 million deal with the Heat this year, and probably in the best shape that he's been since he's been in the NBA. And guys say that all the time. As Miles misfires that time, ball batted around. Johnson the other night in the victory against the Wizards actually played some center.
Well, in today's game, that's not far-fetched. We talked about Indiana missing Monte Ellis. Well, we talk about the Heat as Winslow knocks down the shot. Dion Waiters is a guy that, they expected big things from, and they're certainly absent of him tonight.
He's missing his 10th game with a groin injury. They had a couple of games where only 8 players were available. That's how bad the injury situation was for Miami. Miles trying to draw the foul. And the Heat players backtracking got called. I think it was called on James Johnson. That's his second. So free throws for C.J. Miles. Miles, the veteran, now in the league 12 years. And he's still only 30. That's because he went right from high school in Texas to the NBA. Thaddeus Young returns. Miles has had some good nights. He had a game earlier in his career, 10 threes in a game. For a while that was a record. And 12 was a record for a long time. And now it's 13.
It's a different game. Guys are getting those shots up. High volume.
James Johnson gets inside. Kicks it out in the corner. Three-pointer is good for Josh Richardson. Six-point lead for Miami. The Heat now 4 of 8 from downtown. There's Turner. Turner against Willie Reed. Patient and banks it in. Impressive shot there.
He's a scoring big. Comfortable shooting the jump shot, posting up. You can see the similarities with him and a young LaMarcus Aldridge.
James Johnson met at the rim by Turner.
Nate McMillan is a guy that coached both of those guys, so he's well aware of how good Aldridge was.
Paul George from downtown. And it's back to 1. Eric Spoelstra wants a timeout. George with his second field goal. We're midway through the second. Miami up by 1.
We're forcing them to miss shots. We're not rebounding the ball. Okay, we got to do a better job of rebounding the ball. We got to play D with our feet, not with our hands, all right? Come on, let's pick it up. Let's pick it up right here. Pick it up right here. Come on, let's get sharp.
Nate McMillan, who is head coach in Seattle and Portland, great player for Seattle, great defensive player. And that's what he's really trying to get this team to focus on defensively. They were always a good team defensively under Frank Vogel, but they've made some personnel changes, and some of the guys, for example, George Hill, great defensive player, is now gone. Jeff Teague, more of an offensive player, so some guys have to change their mindsets, Mark.
Or you lose what those guys brought to the table. Not only offensively, but defensively, what you touched on is Whiteside with another basket in the paint. But they have to take the challenge individually and collectively. The good news is that lately they have, and the results have followed.
Teague kicks it out corner. Turner for 3. In and out. And Teague bumps into Dragic.
To me, you look at Teague, and it's a big adjustment. With that Atlanta Hawk team, he was dominant with the basketball. They put him in a bunch of pick and rolls. They put him in isolation situations. Sure, they moved the basketball, but he was a guy that you had to, pay attention to defensively. And now Nate McMillan, this Pacer team, they need him to be a little bit different.
He had a slow start to the season in kind of a new role, as you alluded to, but he's playing better. He's now 10th in the league in assists, 10th in the league in steals. He's back home from Indianapolis, but a completely different type of point guard than they had in George Hill, who, until he got hurt, was playing so well in Utah.
He's playing exceptionally well in Utah. And Jeff Teague, I mean, they know what they paid for. They know exactly who they got, and he's got to be comfortable in playing without the basketball, and then when they put the ball in his hands, make plays.
George in and out. Teague going to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. Certainly wants to work it in his hometown. After the trade, Winslow. Pull-up shot from Winslow. Short. Whiteside rips it down, but had it taken away. Gets it back again. Whiteside tied up. Flips it up again. And George holds on.
I'm raved about playing for great Pat Riley. I look at both of these teams in the same position for the Pacers as the great Larry Bird, a guy that I also played for, who's done an outstanding job of assembling talent and leading this Pacer organization.
Whiteside already with a double-double, 12 points, 11 rebounds here in the first half, and throws it down. Tyler Johnson with a perfect feed. Right now, the Pacers have no answer for Hassan Whiteside, as the lead is 7, largest of the first half.
Very good offense, poor defense. There's the weak side help as Whiteside dives to the hoop.
Teague drills the three-pointer. His first 3, 8 points for Teague. Dragic kicks it out in the corner. Josh Richardson in and out. Stuckey with the save.
It's a good adjustment by Dragic. Paul George came over to help instead of hitting Whiteside, threw it into the corner. That's quality offense, just didn't get the results.
Ball deflected out of bounds. Magruder's going to come back in. Josh Richardson back to the bench. Well, the Miami Heat had 10 turnovers in the first quarter. Disastrous number, but they were right there in the game. They haven't turned it over once here in the second. Stuckey uses glass. First field goal for Stuckey is back to 2 again. Tyler Johnson, good looking jump shot there. He's got 7 points off bench. Strong bench for Miami. 24 of their 45 points. Teague looking to draw the foul, and he does. Johnson got caught in a bad spot. He picks up the foul. We'll have some free throws, but not before a timeout.
Eric Spoelstra, you got to be satisfied offensively. The job done by Whiteside, time and time again, being very disruptive in the paint area. A dominant force tonight for the Miami Heat.
Welcome back to NBA Wednesday, presented by State Farm. Second game of the doubleheader is going to be from San Antonio. Celtics and Spurs. Kawhi Leonard. Another fantastic start to the season for the San Antonio Spurs. That's the second game of our doubleheader coming up. You look at him. Look at a guy tonight like Paul George. Give me 5 of your best two-way players in the NBA, guys who excel at both ends.
I'm going to give you about 6. Paul George in no specific order. Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson, LeBron James, and here's a sleeper for you, Marc Gasol.
Ooh, well, he's a former defensive player of the year. How about, well, I think you got to put Chris Paul in there too, don't you?
I agree because of his greatness, but they don't use him to defend the primary guy anymore. So he's a great defender when called upon.
You saying he's old?
No, absolutely not. He's an all-star and face of a franchise playing at a high level, so don't get me any trouble.
Tyler Johnson, excellent defensive play. His second block shot. Stuckey got hit in the eye, though.
It's good defense. Good job getting back in transition and not giving up anything easy.
After the block shot down the other end. Oh, breakdown defensively, and Turner with a layup. Eric Spoelstra biting his lip down the other end. Tie game. A little over 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Dragic. Winslow back up. Johnson's had a good look. Whiteside with another rebound, puts it on the floor, goes back up and draws the foul. And Whiteside will go to the free throw line for the first time tonight.
You can't think, okay, let me block him out once the shot goes in the air. Your work blocking out Whiteside has got to be done before the shot's even attempted. Get to his body.
Turner, the first foul. And you see the double-double already. 7 of 10 from the field. Coming up, the Toyota halftime, including great news for the NBA and for NBA fans, as the league and the Players Association apparently have reached a tentative agreement on a new CBA. So Michelle with Chauncey and Jalen will discuss that. The kind of money that has been happening lately. It's no wonder they reached an agreement, but you never know, so it's great news. George misses.
Well, absolute great news for basketball fans all around. Does that do anything for us financially?
Well, what it does is for your family that you're not going to be hanging around the house all the time. You're going to have to work as Whiteside gets hit in a foul. So that's a real positive for the Jackson family. Whiteside now 15 and 13. As Dragic makes the pass, make that 17 and 13 for Whiteside.
You know, like, we don't give enough credit, not us, but the basketball world, to Eric Spoelstra and the job he's done as head coach of this Miami Heat franchise. Sure, he had great players in Wade and LeBron and Bosh, and it's tough to coach great players and superstar players. He's done an outstanding job and has got some jewelry to show for it.
Well, Pat Riley entrusted him. Spoelstra coming through. Teague blocked by Whiteside. His first rejection. Turner, though, gets the offensive rebound, throws it back out. Shot clock's down to 3. George is going to have to hoist one up. He does, and hits the long three-pointer.
Eric Spoelstra was running up the floor trying to tell McGruger the clock was dwindling down to close that airspace. He did not, and he paid the price.
Dragic misses. Tyler Johnson can't. Whiteside there to clean it up. What a first half for Hassan Whiteside. 20 points, 14 rebounds, and a block shot. Inside. Good feed from Turner, and Stuckey able to finish.
If I'm Turner, I'm yelling at my supporting cast to help me with this big guy on the block. And if I'm the supporting cast, I'm yelling at Turner. You got to do a better job.
Everybody yelling at everybody. 20 timeout called from Eric Spoelstra as we wind down the second period. Back in Miami, 46.7 seconds remaining. Hassan Whiteside dominating, although the Heat lead is just one. As we wind down the first half, he is capable of putting these type of numbers up. All right, so if you're Indiana, how do you stop this guy?
Collectively, it's not one guy's responsibility. That one guy has a job to do, but it takes the smaller guys, the perimeter guys, to also gang rebound. What I mean by that is you got to get into the paint area. The last line of your defense is securing the basketball, and they're doing a poor job collapsing that paint area and protecting.
Whiteside now on the bench. James Johnson playing center position again for the final minute. Dragic struggling a bit with his dribble. Shot clock at 5. Still can't get the handle. Gets inside. Somehow swatted away by Turner. Out to Winslow. Winslow for 3. Air ball. George throws it ahead to Thaddeus Young. And Young with a lefty slam.
Great job by Miles Turner. Protecting the rim and then creating the offense off of his defensive play.
11th lead change of the first half. Shot clock turned off. Dragic finds James Johnson, kicks it out. Richardson chased off nicely by Young. Back up top, Tyler Johnson puts it up at the buzzer and nails it. Second straight quarter they hit a buzzer beater as Tyler Johnson looked like he got it off in time. And the Heat will head into the locker room with a 1-point lead. Strong bench play for Miami and Hassan Whiteside. Just gets it off in time. 2 quarters complete. Miami 1-point. Welcome back to NBA Wednesday, presented by State Farm. First game of our doubleheader here in Miami at halftime. A 1-point lead for the Heat. Tonight's Tonight is brought to you by Bacardi. And you look at the field goal percentage. Miami, big advantage there. Look at the rebounding. Miami, huge advantage there. But then the turnovers, a big advantage for the Indiana Pacers. Both teams getting some solid play from the bench. Hi again, everyone, with Mark Jackson, Mike Breen on hand. Good close game. 2 teams trying to find consistency during the course of the season. But the story of the first half really was Hassan Whiteside. There are nights where this young man can really be a dominant player, and he was in that first half.
So we talked about him in the opening, and he certainly did not disappoint. His ability to take over ball games by dominating in the paint.
That's tonight's Fresh Take, brought to you by Subway.
Got on the ball early, and he was aggressive. Got high percentage shots time and time again. Was able to read the defense, roll to the rim, and attack. Again, crash the offensive boards. Make plays off the offensive boards. They began to cheat, go to the front of the rim, and then take care of itself. Pursued the basketball like no other. Spectacular first half of basketball by Whiteside. 20 big points, 14 rebounds, 6 off the offensive board. Stellar job. Now he must build it.
And you can see there only Anthony Davis has had a 20 and 10 in the first half of the game. Whiteside playing 16 and a half minutes to have those numbers. He had the 1 block shot and 2 personal fouls. Meanwhile, for Indiana, a team that has struggled on the road, just 3 and 8 away from Indianapolis. They got some good play off their bench as well, led by C.J. Miles. And Paul George did not shoot the ball well. But as we mentioned, Jeff Teague also in double figures with 10. So it's set to go in the third. Same starting 5 for Miami with Dragic, McGruder the rookie, Josh McRoberts, Ellington, and Whiteside. Teague, nice pass to Turner. And Turner has not been able to find a shot tonight, just 2 for 7.
Well, that's good offense and good playmaking by Teague. Those are shots that Turner's going to knock down.
And Teague gets knocked down by Dragic. Dragic picks up his first. Indiana looking for their first 3-game winning streak of the season. They won their last 2, including Monday they defeated Charlotte. in a game where they hit 17 threes. It's been an up and down year for the Pacers. They beat the Clippers twice. They beat Cleveland. They won at Oklahoma City. But they've lost to Dallas, Brooklyn, and Philadelphia. As Paul George connects.
He's a special talent. I love his game so much that I'm willing to say he's the best player to ever wear number 13 for the Pacers.
Is that the only number you wore for the Pacers?
Yes, it is.
Ball knocked that about. And the different teams you played for, were you able to get 13 on every team?
Other than the Houston Rockets and my second stint with the New York Knicks, both times I wore 31.
Who had 13 with the Knicks when you were there?
Long story, Mike. Luke Longley, who did not play a minute with me as a Knick, he refused to give up the number because he was honoring his dad.
Okay, that's a good reason.
He wasn't playing though, Mike.
Did you offer him money?
No. What do you think this is?
Isn't that the way it's done? Dragic got a foul call, late whistle, but a foul. And they're going to shoot some free throws.
Mike, I'm not offering any money for a number. Would you?
No, but I thought that's the way it was done.
What number did you wear?
Somebody has a number.
What number did you wear?
In high school, I wore number 22.
For any particular reason?
No, that's one they gave me. Well, I was a big Dave DeBusschere fan, so I was not unhappy with 22.
I've seen your mid-range jumper very similar to the late great Dave DeBusschere.
Dragic 1 for 2. Tied again, just over a minute gone by here in the third. Miami Heat snapped a 5-game losing streak on Monday. The victory here against the Wizards. Shot misses there. Whiteside lost it. Back up. Robinson, nice double clutch. And banks it in. Chance for a three-point play.
Very good job pursuing the basketball and attacking the offensive boards. This guy can score the basketball. Doesn't give up on the play. I love the finish. You're talking about the double pump. The ability to take the hit and finish.
William Robinson III, who had a nice career at Michigan. The team went to the Final Four and Elite Eight. Second round pick in the NBA with Minnesota. Only played 25 games with them. This next year played just 10 games with Philadelphia. Now this is his second year with the Pacers. Much improved. Ellington can't hit. McRoberts, the weak side rebound. Dragic, hand in his face, no problem. That's his first field goal. Now he's had 4 assists, but he was 0 for 7 before knocking that one down. Teague, the runner, tipped up. Nope, they're wait. No, now they say score the goal. Danny Crawford says count the tip in by Turner, and he got hit.
And it's the right call. Turner, good job attacking the offensive boards. Finishes with the left hand, taking the contact. That's a good job. Penetration by Teague leaves a small guy to attempt to box out the bigger Turner.
Turner completes the three-point play. You talk about young stars. Turner with that possibility. Just 20 years old. He's going to be 21 in March.
Everybody in the organization raves about the young man that he is off the floor. Says he's a true professional. And they're betting on his future.
Ellington throws it away. McRoberts started going down the floor when Ellington went to put the shot up, but because of the good defense, he had to pass it. 12 turnovers for Miami. Only 2 for Indiana. Teague shot rattles in and out. Whiteside chips it to himself. Rebound number 16 for Whiteside. Dragic blocked by Turner. His second block. Sloppy pass, but the Pacers hold on. Teague inside to George, and the foul. Nice look for Teague for his 4th assist, in Indiana with their largest lead of the game as they go up by 5.
If you're Eric Spoelstra, you can't be satisfied with the way that your team is going about setting the tone in this third quarter. It's been easy basket opportunities off of putbacks, off of ball movement and man movement to start this third quarter.
That's the 3rd foul on Whiteside. It's already the 4th team foul. Pacers are a very good free throw shooting team, 4th in the NBA in free throw percentage. He would like to get Dragic untracked. Ellington as well. Ellington and Dragic are combined 2 for 14, the starting backcourt, before Ellington hits that one.
And to me, it points directly to Dragic. I think too many times he's thinking pass as opposed to get to the paint and score the basketball.
Turner somehow holds on to it. George hits a 3. Paul George from downtown. He's shooting just under 40% from three-point mark, and that's a 7-point lead for Indiana.
We watched Paul George, unfortunately, with that career-threatening injury. How many people thought he'd ever get it back? Give him a lot of credit for the way that he has come back, certainly playing at a franchise player level.
At both ends, as you said earlier, ball kept alive, knocked out of bounds, a new 24.
I can remember a couple of years ago, my oldest son, would go to the gym and he'd rave about Paul George. Every single day was playing against him 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 5-on-5. And this is when Paul George was just, you know, a good player on his way. And he said, this guy is going to be special, Dad. And my son did not lie to his dad.
Ellington with the three-pointer. Ellington back-to-back buckets. Whiteside got a piece of that. Here comes Dragic. Dragic inside feed to Magruder, and he's fouled. Oh, and T gets hit from behind as Magruder fell, but he does bounce up. Those are the type that you hate to see. Not expecting it. He buckled a bit, but apparently okay.
It almost looked like a football hit, the way you think the play is over, and all of a sudden the lineman falls on you. Fortunately for the Pacers, and T looks to be okay.
So Magruder to the line. The 25-year-old Magruder was cut by OKC, cut by the Celtics, played in the D-League after not being drafted out of Kansas State, played a year in Hungary. And now Magruder starting for the Miami Heat his rookie season in the NBA. Took him a while. Our NBA national TV schedule, doubleheader on TNT Thursday from Milwaukee and Oakland. Our ESPN Friday doubleheader from Philly and Utah. The game NBA TV Saturday, and then Christmas Day, a couple of good ones, including Golden State and Cleveland rematch of the last 2 finals.
Can't wait for Christmas. It's going to be a big day.
It'll be so much fun. Those 2 teams going out of the game. A loose ball foul is going to go against Indiana. You know, one of the questions I get asked more than any by NBA fans that you see, is it a definite? Is it going to be Cleveland and Golden State in the finals again? That's what a lot of people ask.
What do you tell them? Because you are the expert.
Oh, I'm not the expert. You're the expert. Expert analyst. I always say the same thing. You never know. I mean, whether a team makes a big trade at the trading deadline, another team could have an injury that you certainly hope doesn't happen. As Magruder gets the offensive rebound.
I agree with you. You never know. Both teams certainly more than capable, but I'm not going to disrespect the rest of the field. And there's a lot of basketball left to be played. But I'm shocked you automatically went to, as Paul George knocks down another one, I'm shocked you automatically went to the championship rematch between the Warriors and the Cavs on Christmas. I was talking about seeing Jeff Van Gundy.
Are we certain he's going to be there?
Who knows, right?
Dragic with the steal. Dragic banks it in. Glenn Robinson took a shot in the head and is slow to get up. He's smarting right now.
Missed opportunity for the Pacers. Paul George was down the floor all by himself.
Magruder trying to guard George. Good defense that time from the rookie. Ellington rips away the rebound. Dragic back to McRoberts. Dragic for 3. Dragic is 2 for 10 from the field. And a timeout call by Nate McMillan. Old George lighting it up here in this 3rd quarter with 11 points already.
He's got it going in transition, stop and pop at the 3-point line, feeling himself. Rated P.
Back in Miami, watch the left knee of Hassan Whiteside. That is a hard hit. The back of the head of Glenn Robinson. No wonder he was shaken up, and they're going to take him back and check it out. No doubt the concussion protocol on that one. That one was a direct hit. Stuckey can't get it. Dragic tips it to Magruder.
And Mike, I got to go back to me naming the best two-way players in the league. I clearly forgot somebody in the discussion for being arguably the best. Anthony Davis. My apologies, Mr. Davis.
Yeah, that's right on point. Ellington misses.
See, I don't just throw it out there and then it leaves. I hold myself accountable, Mike.
You've always been that way. First as a player, first as a child. C.J. Miles, the runner. We want to know who either called you or texted you to remind you that you forgot about it.
The streets were talking.
70-65, Pacers lead with just under 5.5 in the third. Both teams have led by as many as 7 at one point, but it's been tight throughout. Whiteside goes right at Turner and draws the foul. It's going to be the second foul on Turner.
I like that move. It was a no-nonsense move. Nothing finesse was about it. Attack the body of Turner and force the contact. Just a great job by Whiteside. We saw the first move to start the ball game. More finesse. This time, he was in attack mode.
Whiteside again had 20 points at the half. And these could be his first points of the third quarter. His free throw shooting this year, he's about at 54%. He's going to get fouled a lot, and he's going to go there. Last year, he shot 65% from the line. Nice form there. Good rotation. Rodney Stuckey, Miles Turner, Paul George, C.J. Miles, and Thaddeus Young. George, not that time. Whiteside, rebound number 17.
What I love about Whiteside, he gets basketball rebounds just not just in his area. He goes and gets the basketball, which you love to see big men do.
McRoberts from well beyond the arc, straight on three to tie the game. You're right, Mark. I mean, he pursues the boards at season high, NBA season high, 25 rebounds. Turner. Stuckey goes right at Dragic, blocked by Whiteside. Rejected out of bounds. His second block shot of the game. 3.8 to shoot for Indiana.
These are the ways that he can affect a basketball game every single night. Rebounding, blocking shots, defending at a high level.
And getting his mouthpiece. Corner three from Miles. Miles hearing some taunts from the Heat bench. Takes a look back. Miles with 15 points in 12 minutes off the bench. Dragic using glass. Nice soft touch there.
So much more effective when he's thinking score. It's not whether you make it or miss it. When you're attacking, it opens up the floor for everybody else, especially Whiteside.
And he's been averaging about 23 a game over the past 9 or 10 games. Thaddeus Young short. They have tried to get the ball out of his hands. Dragic pulls back, tied up. And Turner called, reaching over. That's going to be 3 on Turner. And the Pacers in the penalty.
Turner upset with the call. I don't know whether there was contact or not, but there's no sense trying to make a play there. Whiteside is not a threat catching the basketball in that position. Trust your defense and stay in between him and the hoop.
Whiteside is well short on that one. Well, after Celtics and the Spurs tonight, don't miss Sports Center at night with Scott Van Pelt. He'll have all the NBA, NHL, college basketball highlights, NFL news, SVP will be there for you. And of course, big news in the NBA, the league and the Players Association coming to an agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement.
What I love about the Players Association today, the stars are involved. The superstars are absolutely involved. And they're not afraid to speak their mind, and they understand the importance of striking a deal.
Stuckey hits that. You're right. For a long time, it was always a guy that didn't play a lot, or certainly not the stars being the representative. Not the case anymore. Thanks, Michelle. If you look at the numbers those three putting up, and just to see how comfortable Irving and Love are right now is fun to watch.
And all three obviously very deserving to be representing the Eastern Conference All-Star Week. No question about it.
Yep. There's going to be, we were talking about this earlier today, there's going to be some very tough decisions in terms of who gets selected. They're always every year. Whiteside blocked by Jefferson. Whiteside claiming he got hit on the hand. Stuckey drives to the basket, can't get a default. Dragic comes out of the back. Here he goes. Dragic to Richardson. Out to Johnson. Tyler Johnson. And Miles grabs it.
Mike, just touch on the Cavs playing the Grizzlies tonight. What a job being done by David Fizdale, leading that Memphis Grizzlies team in spite of losing Mike Conley for a bunch. He's done an outstanding job and very much in the discussion with a couple other guys, the leading candidates thus far for Coach of the Year.
Well, that was such a devastating loss. The news, you could just deflated so many people who love the Grizzlies, and here they are playing their best basketball. Marc Gasol has been fantastic, but a lot of the role players have really contributed.
I talked to Eric Spoelstra about him. Fizdale, he spent a lot of time with him, and he's one of his closest friends. He says right away, great communicator, does a good job, an awesome job of teaching, knew it right away. So he's not surprised by the results.
Longtime assistant of Spoelstra. Under 2 minutes remaining in the third. A 4-point game. This time Stuckey draws the foul. Ryan Forte stops and says, all right, let's knock it off. Everybody's complaining every time down the court. Now it's Eric Spoelstra's turn. The foul is on James Johnson, his third.
That's one thing I would say. We got to do a better job as far as referees. Stopping the bickering, stopping the whining and complaining across the board.
You feel it's really increased the last year or so?
Yeah, it's too much in my opinion. I don't want to sound like an old has-been, but it's just too much. It's every single play somebody has something to say.
Well, several years ago they really tried to stop that. Officials were told, you know, hand out technicals a lot, and went overboard at first, then calmed down, but it seemed to have an effect. I would agree with you though. Richardson from way downtown, three-pointer. And it's back to 2 with 1.5 minutes to play.
And this is a tougher lineup for the Pacers to have to defend when you talk about Johnson, Dragic, and Richardson's ability to get into the paint and make plays for one another, along with Johnson and Whiteside attacking that paint.
Al Jefferson, oh, there's an old-fashioned spin move in the post.
Well, Whiteside, you're not the first and you won't be the last. Al Jefferson has been doing that for quite a long time, scoring on that block.
Not playing big minutes, but has an important role for these Pacers. Whiteside inside. That time Jefferson bumped him. And Whiteside will shoot 2 more free throws.
And there's certain guys, you go over the scouting report and you show the move that he does and how he's going to take advantage of you, and you say, I'm not going to fall for it. And time again, you put the uniform on, the lights are on, the crowd is here. Al Jefferson finds his spot, and you as a defender fall for it.
13 years in the league for Jefferson. His first year in Indiana. Signed a 3-year, $30 million deal. Had some good seasons in Charlotte. Had some injury problems last couple of years, but made All-NBA third team with them a few years ago.
And not known as a defender, but he's done a very good job in this quarter defending Whiteside. One time forced him away from the rim for a bad shot. That time, even though he fouled him, it would have been a lob to the rim earlier. Got back into play and got some contact.
Whiteside now 23 and 17. And a couple of block shots as well. Jefferson right back again. Little fake.
A much better job by Whiteside staying down and making Jefferson a jump shooter.
Richardson, tough catch, gets it to James Johnson. Good adjustment and the finish. Little crossover for Johnson. And Miami back within one.
Well, he's playing with great rhythm right now and tremendous confidence on that offensive end. We know he can defend, but playing very loose on the offensive end.
Shot clock winding down. Stuckey comes up short. Whiteside grabs another. Johnson ahead. And would not get it off in time. Richardson just couldn't get it to go, and that will end the third. A one-point game here in Miami. Pacers lead at 79-78.
Third quarter set to begin. Pacers lead by 1 here in Miami. All right, what do you need to do in this fourth quarter to win the game?
Well, I like that quarter. Very competitive. It's not always going our way, but showed great resolve during that. And see if we can have our best quarter in that fourth quarter.
This is one of those games where Hassan Whiteside can be dominant. This is what you want to see from him.
Yeah, he's going to get a little bit of a rest here. Probably not too long. And then he has to keep on being big for us in that paint.
Thanks,
Thanks.
I love most everything that he said prior to it. I love the most when he recognized that you were clean from head to toe with your suit and tie.
Are you mocking me?
No, I'm giving you props.
Thank you. Meanwhile, what he said about the game, it's one of those, like, it's a physical game, a little sloppy at times, but a grinded out game. What's the key for each team now to get the victory?
Well, for the Miami Heat is exactly what he talked about. They're not the most talented team, but they have to fight, they have to defend at a high level, and then they have to attack offensively, and results will follow. If you're the Indiana Pacers, you got to defend, you got to take care of the basketball, and you got to trust the system. Put the ball in the hands of your best players, and they have to be unselfish looking to make plays.
Winslow tried to make a play, drew the foul, and he'll go to the free throw line. George is going to come in rather early here in the fourth. Winslow again, a big boost for Miami, missing 16 games with a left wrist sprain. This is his first game back, obviously rusty. Played 15 minutes, 2 points, couple of rebounds as George and Turner return. Good tough player who has struggled with his shot this year. Having a wrist injury on your shooting hand is not going to help that.
Well, he came into the league, he wasn't a shooter. They liked the way that he worked and improved, and it's a work in progress, but this is a guy that they love his habits as far as his love for the game and the way he gets after it.
Thaddeus Young. And a loose ball foul is going to go. Is it against Miami? Eric Spoelstra charging up the sideline. It is against Miami. Spoelstra's hot. Foul is on Ellington, his second foul. Ellington did not protest that much. And that's why he probably didn't protest that much, because he fouled him.
But I can understand how upset Eric Spoelstra is, because that's a play you see, 10, 20 times a night that doesn't get the call.
Aaron Brooks finds Young. Young hesitant to shoot it. Shot clock back to 6. Turner wants the ball. He's got Tyler Johnson on him. And instead, a 3-second violation. Poor recognition that time. Miles Turner was down low, looking to post up on much shorter Tyler Johnson.
And the benefit of having Aaron Brooks as a scoring point guard is his ability to score. And some of the things you got to live with is he's not looking for Miles Turner in that situation, but Turner certainly had the advantage.
Well, Pacers had 3 turnovers through the first 3 quarters, a spectacular number in terms of just a few turnovers, but they've got 2 already to start the fourth. Winslow kicks it out. Ellington, long distance. That won't go, and George with his 6th rebound. He averages 7 a game.
Yeah, Winslow defending Miles Turner on that block. I'd give him some touches to see what he can do with that matchup.
Miles misses. James Johnson boards. How Richardson holds on to that. Winslow stripped by Brooks. Oh, behind the back from Young. He went a little faster than the ball did. Winslow with a steal. Oh, and then a pass ahead to Johnson. Johnson lays it up and in. Terrific play from Justice Winslow. And that's where they've missed him the most, on the defensive end.
Superb job of hustling, defending, and then keeping the ball in play.
And a timeout call. The Pacers 3 turnovers in the first 3 quarters. They have 3 turnovers in 2.5 minutes of the 4th. And Miami goes up 3.
Inspired play on the defensive end. Pursuing the ball. Getting this crowd involved and inspired.
Welcome back to NBA Wednesday, presented by State Farm. First game of our Wednesday night doubleheader. A close one here in Miami. 2.5 gone by and a 3-point lead for the hometown Heat. Boston and San Antonio coming up in the second game of our doubleheader. Jeff Teague, Paul George, Miles Turner, C.J. Miles, and Thaddeus Young in there. And George draws the foul. That's against Tyler Johnson, who just told Danny Crawford good call, which is the first player who has done that tonight.
I'm shocked, Mike. Maybe the whole year.
No, there's been a few here and there.
And he didn't just say it once. He said it 2 or 3 times. Like, good call. You're right. Good call. That was refreshing.
Johnson, his second foul. Heat with 2 team fouls. Shot clock down to 2. George has to put it up quickly and will not get it off in time. A 24-second violation.
And that's not just Paul George's responsibility. That's also Jeff Teague's responsibility to understand the clock and the situation. And Nate McMillan, being a former point guard himself, looks at Jeff Teague and lets him know exactly how he feels.
They have more turnovers in the first 3 minutes of the 4th quarter than they had the first 3 quarters combined. As Teague draws the foul. Second team foul. Teague has 5 fouls in 24 minutes. So he's going to sit down, and Aaron Brooks will come in. Teague just 3 of 9 from the field, has 4 assists. He's already fouled out of 1 game this year. Josh Richardson. In and out. Tyler Johnson battling but couldn't come away with it. Paul George leading scorer as usual for Indiana with 20. Drives. Can't finish. Fight for the rebound. And the strength of Winslow able to hold on, so they'll jump it up.
And I like that offensive trip. Pick and roll with Paul George and Miles Turner, your 2 best players. George got a good look, just wasn't able to finish. And even if he doesn't have that look, Miles Turner's ability to pick and pop will create some problems for the Heat.
George just 7 of 18 from the field. He's had a number of shots rattle in and out. And Winslow, quick jump, but C.J. Miles able to take it. Brooks fires away. Rebound, Josh Richardson. And a poor start for the Pacers. 0 for 5 in the 4th with 4 turnovers. Tyler Johnson, way short. Ball went out of bounds. And it's going to go down the other end. Let's listen to recent huddles from both coaches.
Hey, we just got to slow down, guys. We got to slow down. Be patient, okay? Execute.
Embrace the competition. Loose balls, anything 50-50 in rebounding, we had to dominate those areas.
This one has been close throughout. They tried a lob to Turner. You know, the officials tonight have done a good job. It's been a lot of banging going on, but they've let him play, so let at least a little bit of a flow try to happen. It's been a ragged game overall.
Hasn't been a pretty game. C.J. Miles on that play driving to the cup, actually tweaked his ankle. Be interesting to take a look. He's in some pain.
Josh Richardson to the basket, blocked by Miles. No, goaltend. He's upset. That was very close to being a spectacular block, but it may have hit the backboard before he got a piece of it.
I don't know, Mike. I'd love to see the replay. That looked like a clean block to me. That's a good block.
Yes, it is.
Give Miles Turner a lot of credit.
He already has 3 blocks. George jumper in and out. Richardson thought about a 3. Ellington short. Rebound, Josh Richardson. New 24. Winslow gets in the paint. Jumper won't go. Rebound taken by George.
And a very good job by Thaddeus Young, understanding who his customer was. Didn't close out hard to Winslow, forced him to be a jump shooter, created the space. That's solid defense.
George to Turner, and an offensive foul called on Turner. Frustrating couple of minutes for Turner as he picks up his 4th personal. That's 6 turnovers in the first 5.5 minutes of this period.
And the call was made on the screen by Turner. You see throwing that hip out there, and that's a point of emphasis for referees is the right call.
Well, they're calling it points of education this year. Thank you for educating me on that. James Johnson. Dragic can't get it to fall. Glenn Robinson back in the game with Brooks, Turner, Thaddeus Young, and George. Teague on the bench right now with 5 fouls. Aaron Brooks delivers. Brooks with his first points of the night. Back to 3.
And historically, he's a scoring point guard off that bench. And when he sees one go in, he's thinking score the rock.
That's the first points of the 4th quarter for Indiana, almost 6 minutes before they scored. Yet they're still only down by 3. Pass nearly deflected. James Johnson gets it back. Adjustment, left hand. Oh, another beautiful play from James Johnson. He's got 12 points, make that 14 off the bench.
Deserves a lot of credit. Took the timeout over the course of the summer, worked his tail off, and the results are following.
Brooks banks it in. Well, Brooks comes right back with back-to-back buckets.
He's thinking score the ball. There's no secret to the success of Aaron Brooks. You got to give him your undivided attention defending.
Brooks, the guy who's been able to score throughout his career. Averaged almost 20 a game one season. 5 to shoot. Johnson tried to jam it in there. It's still Heat ball. 4.5 to shoot. We'll take a timeout. Been a close game throughout, Mark.
James Johnson, stellar play on the offensive end. Good job of being patient, allowing the play to develop, and a beautiful left-handed scoop shot. We'll be back.
Back in Miami, just over 5 to play here. As you look at the Eastern Conference standings, clearly Cleveland and Toronto are the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. But look, 3 through 10, you go on a 3-game winning streak or 3-game losing streak. You can move up 4 or 5 spots or drop 4 or 5 spots. That's right. Nobody really has separated themselves in the rest of the pack.
And that's why it's so important for one of these teams or a couple of them. You're preaching the message, let's put a run together. You put a run together, you're going to separate yourself and have a nice cushion to get to the playoffs.
They'll inbound here, Mark, with only 4.5 to shoot. Whiteside's back in the game. They go to Whiteside and quickly delivers. Nice feed from James Johnson.
Great execution out of the timeout by Eric Spoelstra. Designed that play, and Whiteside did the rest.
Whiteside 1 rebound away from a 20-20 game. Paul George has Dragic on him. Feed inside. And Turner able to get it to fall. Turner with 9 points. 3-point game.
And to me, they've got to do a better job of getting Turner some touches. Demand is for him to be better defensively, but he's too skilled offensively to not have many touches for this Pacer team.
Teague is also back in for Indiana with Brooks still on the court. Dragic out to Richardson, 3-pointer. Rebound, Thaddeus Young. Brooks fakes. Pull-up jumper. Too strong. Young tips it right to Tyler Johnson. Johnson to the goal and the finish. Lead back up to 5. Tyler Johnson now with 15.
The pressure that Johnson and Dragic puts on the defense with their ability to direct line drive off of pick and rolls or isolations.
Here's Brooks. Brooks gets inside. Can't squeeze it in. Kept alive by Turner. A couple of tips, but still won't fall. James Johnson looks, finds Dragic. Beautiful pass and a lay-in, and it's back to 7.
Like, how good has James Johnson been? Defensively, offensively, and that time making a play in transition.
14 points and 5 assists for Johnson. Turner. Good soft touch from the big man.
It's no secret if you're Miami. Stay in pick and roll and look to make plays if you're Dragic or Johnson.
Tyler Johnson again goes right at Aaron Brooks. That one in and out. And Thaddeus Young with a good rebound.
A good offense and a quality look.
George. Teague wants Turner to set a screen. Oh boy, lots of contact there. They say still Indiana ball with 8 to shoot. Dragic tried to fight through the screen. Went flying off as Teague fell down. No harm, no foul on this one.
That's a foul, Mike. That's a foul, Mike.
I think it's a couple of fouls. The two stars of their respective teams performing well. Especially Hassan Whiteside, 25 and 19. Paul George has 20, has yet to score here in the fourth quarter. Speaking of stars, Kawhi Leonard, man, the Spurs hosting the Celtics. Second game of our doubleheader coming up next on ESPN. The Heat trying to beat a team over 500. They're 2-15 against teams that are 500 or better. They've not been able to beat any of the good teams. An opportunity here. George, pull-up jumper. There's his first points of the fourth. And it pulls him back within 3.
Tough shot, good defense. Paul George, very skilled on that offensive end. Good to see one go down if you're the Pacers.
Dragic using a Whiteside screen. Keeps his dribble alive. Tyler Johnson straight on. Had a good look. James Johnson with another rebound. Dragic back to Whiteside, deflected by Teague and stolen. Young ahead to Teague.
I know I sound like a broken record.
George for 3.
But Dragic has got to think, turn the corner. If you turn the corner, the defense will follow and you look to make a play. He's too tentative in the pick and roll action right now.
11 points, but 4 of 14 from the field. The Heat with the second worst home record in the NBA at 3-8. Minnesota, the only team with the worst home record. A chance to get a home win against a team over 500. Dragic this time aggressive goes, shot blocked. Turner with his 4th block shot of the game. And Nate McMillan calls timeout. 1:32 remaining. Pacers down 3. They'll have the ball when we come back. .132 remaining here in the fourth. This scrappy Miami team, they've had a lot of tough losses, especially here on their home floor. Right now leading by 3. And Indiana has a chance now to cut into that lead or tie with this upcoming possession. Nate McMillan's team have struggled on the road much of the early season. Just 3-8. Now trying to get a win here in Miami. Paul George, Miles Turner, Jeff Teague, Thaddeus Young, and Aaron Brooks remain on the floor for the Pacers.
I expect to see the ball in the hands of Paul George.
penetrates, kicks it back out. Young. Brooks inside, poked away nicely by Whiteside, and 7 to shoot.
You're Thaddeus Young. The play was made by Teague. You got to step into that shot and be ready to shoot it.
And he's 7th in the league in three-point percentage.
Let's realize it's just 7 on the shot clock.
Execution at crunch time. Turner turns, shoots, in and out. That one halfway down, and Tyler Johnson a rebound. That would have tied it. Team struggling here in the fourth quarter. 0 for 10 from 3, the two teams.
I like the decision putting the ball in Johnson's hands instead of Dragic right now. Playing much better and much more aggressive.
Drives hard to the basket. Shot blocked by Turner. But Turner's out of bounds when he tried to save it. And it's still Heat ball with 2.4. That's 5 blocks for the 20-year-old Turner.
You can see why they love this young man's game. Getting better on the defensive end, changing shots, blocking shots.
And Eric Spoelstra will call a timeout. He'll have 2.4 drawing up a play. A huge play as his team leads by 3. Avery Bradley, one of the better defensive guards in the NBA. His Celtics in San Antonio to play the Spurs coming up. Mark Jones and UB Brown will have the call for you. Bradley's also, I think he's still their leading rebounder. Incredible. Meanwhile, the crowd getting into this one. Their team up by 3. Trying to win their 2nd straight game on this 6-game homestand.
Mike, earlier the play out of this was Whiteside in the middle of the paint in front of the rim. If you're Turner, you got to make sure you stay connected to his body.
2.4 to shoot. Johnson catch. Has to put it up. Comes up short. Young may have gotten a piece of that. And Brooks will come the other way with his team down by 3. The Heat have a foul to give. Teague pulls back.
It does not have to be a 3 if you're the Pacers.
George on the drive, kicks it out the corner to Young. Up top to Brooks. Brooks steps back. 3 to shoot. Turner sets, fires, won't go. Rebound Whiteside. George all over him, hands it off. They need to foul. And there's the foul call. Eric Spoelstra upset.
And he's upset because the pass was made by Whiteside, but the call was made prior to the pass. So now,
then they had the foul to give.
That's why you don't want to overreact. But I love the fact Whiteside went and got that rebound out of his area.
Whiteside with his 20th rebound, and that's his 4th career 2020 game. 25 points and 20 boards. Richardson finds Dragic. Brooks trying to get to him. Head to Tyler Johnson. Cross-court pass goes inside. Richardson throws it down. Poor execution that time. Indiana needed to foul. You like that they tried to come up with a steal, but they got burned. Brooks drives, flips it up off the glass, won't go. Whiteside the rebound. He's fouled. And the Heat look like they're going to hold on to get the home win.
You talked about it. 2 guys in the backcourt, and Brooks and Paul George. They do a great job trying to disrupt Dragic and Johnson, but the other 3 guys a poor job. This is good hustle, good aggressiveness. Paul George, you got to get back into the play, but everybody else, we're trying to foul in that situation. A good job by the Miami Heat staying with their foot on the gas pedal, winding up with a dunk.
3 Heat players off the bench in double figures, 5 total. As Whiteside misses that. Indiana still has 2 timeouts remaining in a 5-point game. You need a miracle to pull this one out. And if Whiteside misses this, it still makes it a 2-possession game. And timeout Indiana. So now they obviously have to advance the ball in the front court, get a quick 3. Get a quick foul, hope for some free throw misses, and get another quick 3.
Doing too much, Mike.
Well, I'm just trying to set the possible scenarios or the impossible scenarios.
Anything can happen. That is true. It's highly unlikely. But if you're the Pacers right now, it's about getting a quick basket, whether it's a 2 or 3, and then immediately you got to look to foul.
For Miami, they got one of their key players back, Justice Winslow. Winslow was obviously rusty, but all that helps in terms of just overall depth. And then when you have a guy put up 26 and 21, that certainly helps as well. Hassan Whiteside, especially that first half. And this is what Eric Spoelstra keeps telling him. You can be dominant at the rim on both ends. He's not one of those centers that steps out and shoots a lot of jumpers or three-pointers, but he's so effective around the rim. Such a good shot blocker. And right now, so far this season, he's the best rebounder in the NBA.
And he's only going to get better and better with his back to the basket posting up. It's not broke right now, but he's only going to get better.
All right, Indiana to inbound. And need a quick three to go. And if you're Miami, why even guard inside the three-point line?
Well, you don't want to give up a quick deuce or three. Make them work.
George steps back, fires a three. That won't go, and that will do it. Fittingly, Whiteside grabs the rebound. And the Miami Heat win their second straight home game on this important 6-game homestand from them. Hassan Whiteside with 26 and 22. Another 20-20 game. There's your final score, 95-89. So just the first game of our doubleheader here on ESPN. Boston and San Antonio coming up next. For Mark Jackson and our entire crew, Mike Breen saying thanks so much. Celtics and Spurs coming up next. But first, we'll go back to the studio as we send it to Michelle Beadle.